It has been 8 years since I've made music. 8 years. That's a long time. I used to make a lot of music. I used to score short films, feature-length films. I made 3 roughly hour-long concept albums, and then so many other tracks for just random things that just musical ideas that popped in my head. I was a music making machine. I just couldn't stop me. Something would come up here and then it'd come out through my fingers, and it was a lot of fun. But 8 years ago, I moved from Portland to Los Angeles, and in that move, I had to kind of pare down all of the stuff that I was bringing with me. And also around that time, my software and my hardware was all kind of getting outdated, and things just weren't working anymore, and my keyboard wasn't talking to my computer, and I was just like, forget all this. Let's just simplify things. And 8 years later, here we are. I haven't made a single track of music. I've been itching to get back into it though. And I finally have everything I need. I've got my DAW using Cubase. I've got a new keyboard. I've got so many software instruments. It's kind of overwhelming how many I have. I probably have too many. So in the spirit of getting back into making music, and also because I'm going to be making a lot of music for my Patreon and YouTube content, I wanted to try and ease myself back into it. I don't quite know how to use all of Cubase yet. This is kind of new to me. I should also preface that when I was making music, I was using GarageBand, but like a 10-year-old GarageBand. And I pushed that thing to the limit. Now having switched over to this is like, I feel like a caveman stepping into the future, and I'm just like, whoa, what? Yeah, so in order to not overwhelm myself, I decided to take an old track that I composed a long time ago and try and recreate it all here in Cubase. The thing that I'm trying to recreate here is a track that's called A Lonely Wonder. When I first made it, I made it as sort of like a theme song for this character of mine that I created. His name's Daniel Whitaker. If you're familiar with my work, you've probably seen him. He's this little boy. He's got giant ears and like braces. And so I made this theme song for him and for like a short film that I made of him back in college. Again, I'm kind of going off of memory here. I don't know where the original track is. And here's the piano sketch. Now we can start taking this piano sketch and orchestrating it into the other sections. Because I mentioned before, I have way too many software instruments at this point. I've decided, in the spirit of simplifying things and trying to avoid my brain freezing up, I'm just going to stick to, for the most part, stick to one pack. That pack being Nucleus from Audio Imperia. It's a full orchestra pack. It sounds great. I like a lot of the stuff that Audio Imperia has made. I have a lot of, or not, I have a good amount of their software instruments. This video is not sponsored by them or anything. I'm just a big fan of theirs. So the feel of this whole track is very whimsical and kind of mysterious and magical. It's very sort of Danny Elfman vibes to it. There's sort of that oompa sound, and that's going to be sort of carried out a lot in the string section, that sort of oompa sound with a lot of pizzicato strings. So that's kind of what we're getting started with here. Let's jump in. I've got strings, we've got all of our violins here, violas, cello, bass. The first thing we got to do is, I'm going to take this and we're going to put it in the bass. Great. I think they're too high, so we will just bring them down. This is one of those hotkeys that I don't know yet, but bass is just doing this. And maybe we'll go down even further. Now we'll take that same thing and copy it to the cello. Let's take out the stuff that the bass is doing. The top line melody is going to be done by a cellist, so all of the oompa chords are being carried out by the strings here, so that's kind of what we're nailing down. I'm not entirely sure if I want to make the cello section double up like this or split. It's already sounding pretty great though. I do love the sound of a viola pizzicato. Second violins and first violins. Let's have violas do that. Or do we want to do it like a real orchestra would do it and have the chord be split across the different sections? Like that. Let's have the top violins do that. Get a little bit of movement going. Oops. So many little things I accidentally do because I still don't know how to use this program all that well. So we'll have a go. Boom, boom. Boom, boom, boom. Boom. Yes. Let's have it go reversed. Okay, it's sounding pretty good so far. So if that's what first violin's doing, I guess you'd have something kind of like that. Oh, that's lovely. There, and we've got some some nice movement to it. There's like sort of a melody, so it's not just just like straight chords. We've got a little bit of movement in the first and second violins, at least. This is one thing that I did not have in GarageBand, or maybe I did and I just didn't know about it. But the thing I love here in Cubase, you can just grab notes and just do this. This is so great. I feel like a lot of this is gonna be me being like, back in my day, I wasn't able to do this. Right now, I think the pizzicato or the celli and the violas are kind of doing the same thing. And I want to not have them do the same thing. Just to see what it sounds like, I'm going to make it so that every section's only playing one note. We're not gonna divide the sections. Right now, the celli and the violas are kind of in the same register. They're kind of playing on top of each other. I kind of want to see if we make this an octave lower. There's a little more spread to that. Just get rid of this repetitive top note. It's just a G over and over again. So we want these guys maybe. These are doing. And this is the other thing I love too, is that you can grab a bunch of different, I've got first, second, and violas all selected, and I can see them in my piano roll here, and it's so much easier to know if any of them are stepping on each other's toes, like that right there is one. We can get rid of that. Yeah, it makes it so much easier. Maybe we can fix that. This does sound a little too low. I don't know exactly how low a viola can go. I mean, I guess it's this, but yeah, it's like right at the bottom. We'll play at the bottom. There is kind of there's a nice ring to it that with it being so low on the bottom there. Kind of like it. There's a wow. This needs to get fixed though. I don't want them to both be playing the same note. Let's fix it. So it's this. It's the B. One of them needs to be probably a D. Better. First section down with our strings, at least. Now we should lay in the celeste. It might be as simple as just copying this over. But nothing's ever that simple. It might be that simple. It needs to be higher, that's for sure. There we go. I wonder if I want this. Like full chords, you know? Celeste is so nice. This is like what Harry Potter's done on the Hedwig theme, or the Edward Scissorhands theme. Yeah, it just makes it sound like a nice little fairy tale kind of thing. Which when I first created Daniel Whitaker, that's kind of what I was going for as far as the vibe and the style of it was kind of, very Tim Burton-y, fairy tale, spooky thing, awkward little 12-year-old who gets into spooky adventures. He's evolved and changed a bit since then. He's still that, but there's a little more going on to him. And honestly, I don't know if this theme fully fits him anymore, but who knows? Maybe I could repurpose it, turn it into something else that still kind of works for how he is now. I think we do need we need the whole thing. We need the chords. What does it sound like in glockenspiel? It's a little too tinny and bright. I kind of like the celeste's softness. So the other option is a music box sound, which kind of have that plucked sound. No, we're staying to this. This is why I decided to pick only one pack, because this is what happens if you go, oh, what if I did this? What if I did that? And then you just get lost in the weeds. And we can always change it to something else later, but for now, we're just going to stick to this one pack. Okay, I think what I want to do is actually play this. Just not the best player, that's the problem. Here's what I'll do. I'll do it in 2 goes. We'll duplicate this track, and I will record the chords on one track and then just copy these over to the other one, and then I can combine them later. Easy. I just remembered a thing we're missing. The old sustain pedal. That's gonna help. Plug that puppy in. One moment. I object. Sustained. We have fun. We have fun over here. It's a mess. Just clean it all up. I think this is how it's supposed to go, right? Yeah, I was way off. These are hitting a little too hard. Just bring the velocity down a little bit. Especially on these ones. Goodness gracious. I laid down some chords for the celeste. Cool thing also about Cubase is you get to do all these like cool things with quantizing, where you can snap it to the bar, but also vary it up and make it sound a little more human, which is great. So that's kind of what I was trying to do a little bit with this sort of rough quantize on the chord parts, and it just kind of like nudges the notes around a little bit so they're not quite on the bar there. Just makes it a little more kind of like you didn't hit all the notes at the same time kind of a thing. Let's see what it sounds like. Lovely. I think I might just keep these 2 tracks existing and not combine them for now, because I might want to do this again in the future of just splitting it up for the ease of it all. I think we need another something for the celeste to do at that last lead up. Something like something like that. Well, let's lay it down. It's kind of what I was trying to do, except it's very messy. Whoop. Whoop. Doom bum bum bum. Yeah, something like that. Except they stay on one chord, so that's not gonna work. I don't hate it. We'll say that's it. And there we have it, our first section. there's something dissonant there. The celeste is, it's wanting to shift like this, from C minor to G. But the strings are staying on this. I think we just got to get rid of that note. This one. That's it. Okay, there we have it. Our first section. I'm going to mock up the next section. It's going to be a lot like this, and I'll come back a little bit into that, so you're not having to rewatch that whole, basically the same process of what we just watched. Okay. And we're back. It's a different day, different shirt, but we're still working on this track for A Lonely Wonder. I did a little bit of work, and it's all stuff that you already saw me sort of do, just taking the piano sketch, bringing it down to the string section, splitting things up, getting the celeste to essentially carry the melody and kind of hit the chords. And let's just go back and see where we're at this point. And then we have it. I forgot to mention there's also a clarinet in there. Clarinet is sort of carrying the melody, it's the main theme, and it's just a legato clarinet. In my woodwinds down here, it's a solo clarinet. And that is the second chunk. So we have the intro, we have the main theme has been introduced. Next, we kind of move into sort of like a bridge or like a second half of the theme, just to sort of remind you what that sounds like. It's this. And you can see that after that bridge, we go back into the main theme. I think what I'm trying to do with this is the arrangement of it starts fairly simple at first. And then as the whole thing progresses, we introduce more parts of the orchestra. So the woodwinds will come in a lot more on this next chunk in the bridge section. Pretty soon we'll get the violins to not just be pizzicato, but I think we'll end up getting some legato, definitely some tremolo in there eventually. When the theme comes back fully again, definitely going to include some choir. And yeah, so that's kind of where we're at right now with it. Now, I think I'm just going to focus on this next chunk, the bridge. We already have the celeste and the clarinet are doing the same thing right now, just doing the melody of that part. And I think I might want to have this melody carried out only by the woodwinds, and maybe the celeste takes a bit of a back seat from carrying the melody and just focuses on chords. I should also mention that there was this little chunk right here in the celeste. I ended up playing this part out because I wanted that rolled kind of the boing kind of a sound, which you can hear right here. Sounds so nice. All of my other chords are they're just quantized. They're all kind of hit at the same thing. I think I might want to vary that up and make it feel a little more human, or maybe go back and kind of roll those chords a little more. Currently it's at a place where it doesn't bug me. If later down the line I want to like put a little extra polish on it, I might go back and do that for the celeste. Moving into this bridge section, the strings are still doing kind of the same thing. It's just a lot of oompa oompa with pizzicato strings. It's an oompa oompa, and then I had the violas. I'm someone who just loves violas. I don't know why. Typically, violins 1 and 2 get all the attention for melody, or they're the ones in the spotlight. For me, I love putting the violas in the spotlight. They just have a really nice, warm texture to them that I like. This was also the case when I was making stuff in GarageBand. I just always loved doing that with the violas. So we do have the violas kind of like putting a little razzmatazz on it in that part. Let's just copy and paste, and we'll just change the chords up. So we'll start with the bass. Got to set that bass up because that kind of carries everything. The chords for this part are, I think we go to a D minor. Nope. That's what it is. It's a B minor, right? That's a B major. Maybe this is a, I don't know what this is. It's whatever that is. Let me go back to C minor. Not the best player. After that rousing performance, I'm gonna play this out because it'll probably be easier to just kind of work with it if we do that. Okay. That was a hot mess. We have the power to change this and fix it. Oh God, that was embarrassing. Could not find the beat. Could not find it at all. There's a pre-delay on all of this, on these software instruments, and the pre-delay is there to help with just some of the software instruments need a little bit of delay in order to play the full sample of the instrument. And I've been finding that has been throwing me off when it comes to like trying to hit things on the mark. It's a whole thing that I never really experienced when I did the GarageBand stuff years ago. I understand why it's needed, but just trying to work around it has been a little tricky. It is kind of a, yeah, let's try that. Then it goes back to C. Might be back to F. Yeah, we're back to F. I'm just trying to get the chords down, but I kind of like the idea of, before we go back into the main theme, that there is sort of a boom, bop, boop, 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 bop, bop, you know, you got it. You know what I'm talking about. A little more movement, a little more of this kind of a thing. Those are the chords we need, and this is essentially what I did for that previous section. I kind of just played the chords out like this on one section, and then I would just kind of copy and paste, and then delete things. So for like violins 2, I would just keep the middle keys. Violins 1, I would only keep the top keys. And then I found that when I did that, it would sound a little boring because you just have a string section just playing the same note over and over again. So then I would try and find ways to vary it up so they had a little more of a melody in that section. It's not perfect. I'm not saying I solved the riddle by any means, but again, I got it to a place where it doesn't bug me. That's kind of like my barometer, I guess, of moving on. That doesn't sound bad. That sounds... I just took the chords and then split them across the 3 sections. And that viola going down to this note sounds so much better on a viola than a violin because they're just a deeper sounding instrument. I think what I will do, just the piano sketch had, yep, we did. You can hear that kind of boop, boop, boom, bum, boom, bum, boom, bum. You know, it'd be cool. What if we took those little flourishes, because the viola's got to do it on the main theme section. So what? And there's a couple of them, sort of like a call and response. So we could have these 3 kind of, it's like each section gets their own moment to have a little flourish. That might be kind of fun. Let's try it out. Let's make this first one go to the first violins. There we go. Let's try maybe making this go a little higher. See what that sounds like. We get to give this one to the second violins. And then this part we can give to the violas. Everybody gets to play. Something about that feels weird. It's that last note. That's what it is. We've got a weird chord going on here. That's the problem. We're going from an F minor into an F minor. It's just the same thing. Right? That's tricky. I'm gonna have to solve that. I'm not thrilled about it, but it works for now. Okay, let's see what the bass is doing here. Listen to this great playing. Amazing. This one could get changed. Boom, 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 boom. That's better. Okay, we finally have it. We have our string section for this bridge. We've got them all dancing around, playing with each other. Let's take a listen. One thing that I kind of like about this cello part is it's pretty normal. It's pretty much the boom, 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 boom. But at the end here, you may remember the piano sketch, we had that boom, ba, boom, ba, boop, ba, boop, as it kind of descended. And I split those notes up. It's kind of a rocking descent. And I split it up between the violas and the cellos. And I had the cello kind of build up into it a little bit. As you can see here, the notes rise up into it. I also kind of feeling like this might be a good place to put the tremolo in of like the first and second violins. If you can imagine that this is the part where things are starting to evolve a little bit we're breaking out of the oompa oompa with all of the sections kind of trading off on these little flourishes like this. And then they all kind of, and then you can imagine, maybe not that note, but that kind of a thing. Let's hear it with the woodwind section. Ooh, I just heard it in my head, a trill, flute trill, right at the end, right before we go on the main theme again. Okay, focus, solo flute legato. There we go. This also sort of reminds me of like a Spanish, like a tango or something like that. And then I'm just gonna duplicate this track and turn this into a trill because I want to get that trill down before I forget it. All right, let's try it. It drags a little bit. I want it to go right into the end. Feels like it. You know what it needs? It needs like something to sort of cheat it because it's ending on the wrong note. It needs a note at the end that solidifies it into, or something like that. We'll leave it there. We'll leave it there for now. The idea is down. That's the important thing. You know, we might just maybe double it up with the flutes on the clarinet. Let me just copy and paste it, see what it sounds like. Give these players time to breathe. I do kind of like that. I did want some sort of a duet kind of, one's playing and the other one's coming in underneath it a little bit, and they're kind of crossing a little. But they sound so similar. They're very breathy instrument. So if I want anything like that, I might need to do it in a different instrument that kind of feels more separate. Maybe an oboe. I think a player could play all of that in one breath, right? All my flute players out there, clarinet players, you tell me. I think you could do it. We'll take out the flute on that part because that's where the trills come in. I like that. And if we do the English horn as this sort of duet instrument to that melody, perhaps it can help because the flute's kind of cut out to do that trill. Maybe they could help harmonize that last little part. Do I have an English horn? I don't know. I've got an oboe. I have another patch or another pack called Solo that's just a bunch of solo artists. And I might end up transferring some of these instruments over to that one when it's all done, because the instruments in the solo pack are like, ooh, they sound real nice. Not that these don't sound nice, but there's just a different quality to that solo pack that I really like, especially when you blend it in with the rest of Nucleus stuff. Beautiful. That's beautiful. No, no. We can just play around in that, I guess. This is such a nice instrument. I love this. I love that vibrato that I have right there. It cuts through it pretty nice too when you pair it up with the solo, with the clarinet and the flute. I kind of like that. I need to think on this one. Okay, I figured it out. The oboe part. Let's give it a listen. It's not doing anything super fancy. It's kind of just playing, like kind of going back and forth on a couple notes. It's only supposed to be sort of harmony and like support. Another thing I did is I took the bassoons, made them staccato, and then just copied over what the bass and the cello were doing. Oompa oompa. Also, this particular patch, I had to transpose it down a little bit because, as you can see the yellow keys here, the range of it did not go low enough. So I had to extend it just a little bit. And I think I want to get the same thing but in a tuba. So it just builds more, you know. We've got the orchestra is slowly coming alive through all of this. Let me just put this in before I forget it. Some oomph in the oompa. It's getting into feels like the circus is marching into town. It might be too much. I like it on the lower end though. Yeah, that's a little too. That's another thing I love, just being able to just draw in your velocities so quick like that. I think I might want to cut it in half so that it's not playing through that whole section, just so that there's some buildup. No, we'll start it at 21. Because then when the theme comes back, it can really, it's a nice build-up moment. It feels like it needs a strings like tremolo or like a high. Can I just say that the trill of the flutes, that is a thing I did not have in GarageBand. Love that. That needs a glissando of a harp at the end. I'm gonna let my brain noodle on this a little bit and come back to this. Yeah, let's do that. I'm back. I got a haircut. Time has passed. I've made some more progress on the track here. I decided to do a fair amount off camera because sometimes I find that trying to do everything on camera, it screws up the flow of things. I'm in my head about some of this stuff. It's harder to just kind of like slip into the whole process of it. And also the newer stuff that I have done is stuff you've already seen. It's kind of me just taking basically the chorus of the piece and we're just playing it again with a little more orchestration. So I can show you actually what that looks like now. Oh, also, I know I promised myself that I would only stick to the Nucleus software instrument pack here, but over the course of working on this, I've kind of broken that rule a little bit and explored some of the other packs that I have, and I think they're awesome. Some of the instruments, like some of the woodwinds, I switched over from Nucleus to the Audio Imperia's solo selection. I found over there that they do have an English horn, and the Nucleus pack does not have an English horn, so that was a nice find. And then there's been some choir that I've put in from Chorus. Yeah, there's just a couple little things here and there. I might venture out of the Nucleus territory, but I think actually what was good about sticking to Nucleus at first was that it helps simplify things. It gets something down on the page, and from there then you can expand out. If you're trying to source from all the stuff at once from the beginning, it's easy to get overwhelmed. At least it was for me. Talking my face off here. Let's just jump into it. I think we're sort of here, right? This is the first chorus. there we have it so far. Really cool instruments. This is the joy of jumping out of Nucleus, is that you get to find all of these cool instruments, like all of these things in the chorus. This one's great. This is in the Audio Imperia's Glade, which is free, by the way. They've got solo boy singing. I just thought that was a great touch for the fact that this is Daniel Whitaker's theme, should have a boy singing in there. I also took, there's a nice little swell here with some tremolo strings. There, we've got like a mark tree, which I did not know that was the name of it. I thought it was just called a chimes or something like that, but it's those twinkly little sounds. We've got a harp glissando. We've got a timpani in here. I brought some brass in. Also got a glockenspiel to come in and help with the melody, just so it cuts through, because the celeste gets a little lost in the mix. I think I switched out the clarinet for the solo clarinet, and I switched out I got an English horn from the solo. Yeah, the rest are still Nucleus. I'm sure a lot of you are probably like, ooh, this sounds so Danny Elfman-esque, and it does, very much. When I first created this track, 15, 20, God, long ass time ago, Danny Elfman was a huge influence on my stuff. And John Williams and Hans Zimmer and Jesper Kidd, Thomas Newman, so many. They still are, honestly. Basically, I don't really have a lot of training. I've taken some basic lessons for piano and stuff like that here and there. Most of this stuff is just done from ear. It's just from listening to a lot of soundtracks for movies and video games and concept albums. And then when I go to make stuff, I hear the thing in my head, and then I just try and replicate it here. It means that basically sometimes my stuff sounds like the stuff that I listen to, because that's just kind of how it goes. And I don't have enough music theory under my belt to get myself out of holes, which is something I would like to fix. It's got this cool breathy sounds. They got a lot. I love all these, trying to find how to texture all of this stuff together. That's cool. I like the pitch bend. Let's lay this down. Don't know if that quite works. That might be too distracting. Let me try it without this breathy part. Way better. I wonder if like a big, like an impact sub boom kind of boom. We need a thing. I think Nucleus has impacts. What you got for me? That works. I'm gonna add some real beefy bass. Actually, let's just tweak this a little bit to the classic mix, so it just kind of pushes it into the background a little more. So we've got that big sub boom, kicks off bar 39. It'd be nice to have a little timpani, kind of like how I've been doing in some of these past parts where the timpani it's very subtle. So we'll just give a little, not a roll, but a boom, boom, and then it just drops out. Too hard, but we can fix that. Let's double the celeste there with the glockenspiel. Let's see what that sounds like. I feel like this needs a little more tremolo in the strings just to fill it out. slight pitch bend in there. Pitch bend has a purpose, and I think I'm gonna hold on to that. There's a reason behind the pitch bend. Should the time come where I get to dive a little deeper into Daniel Whitaker and that whole world, then I'll tell you about the pitch bend. Just a little teaser for you, but there is a reason for it. Now for this next section, why not? Let's just jump right into it. Kind of a descending thing. If we go back to our piano sketch. We can get the bass to that low part. And then we do the chorus one last time in a much more slowed down version of it. In my head, what I'm hearing is kind of the whole string section taking over into this legato kind of cascading thing. Well, first, let's take this, put it on the bass. Now let's put in a cello. These sound great. I also have a different pack, which maybe later I might switch over this part over to that pack. Who knows? Let's get that descending part in. Hey-oh. Nailed it. Lovely. This part actually kind of reminds me of, might be a good reference point, actually. The last track in Silence of the Lambs by Howard Shore. It's so good. It's in that scene when Clarice is like talking to Hannibal and he's on a payphone, like in a phone booth, and he's like, I don't know, he's somewhere in South America or something like that. That music is great. It kind of reminds me of that part. Ooh, what if we got the chorus in here a little somewhere? Let's put you and you together. A little more movement on this. Some mod wheel action. Ooh, let's have the boy do that one part. Great. I like that. That sounded cool. So the transition's a bit rough right here. We're like going into a full string piece and it just feels kind of abrupt, which makes me think that there needs to be probably some kind of strings that are bridging the gap. I don't quite know what that looks like yet though. Maybe that could be it. Okay, that first line doesn't work. That helps bridge it a little bit. We need something for the second violins and the violas on this part. So I might take some of this stuff and just transfer it over to Dolce because that has some really nice legato string sections in it. Nucleus is fine too, but for this sort of sweeping, kind of soft string thing, Dolce was kind of designed for that. Something like that. The only thing that probably needs to happen is just some mod wheel stuff, just to add a little more swell to it. Transition still feels kind of abrupt to me, but let's actually back up. Let's... I don't know, my go-to answer would be like a timpani roll or a crescendo of like a cymbal. But that feels kind of expected, or if there's something else that could be a little more interesting. Let's just double it up with the women's choir here. If we put the cello in that choir, what would that sound like? Go up an octave here. That works for now. Let's also double up this on the flute, low flute. I'm also going to put the cellos line on the bassoon legato. Love it. Let's get the violas on the clarinets. It's all a bit much at the moment. This is when using a mod wheel helps, so everything's not like blasting you at once. Just playing around, just trying stuff out. It's kind of how you do this, or that's how I do it at least. You can always do a tubular bell. Yeah, I think this part needs that. Let's move this breathy stuff over here. Okay, I'm gonna do a little bit of work on just this whole section where the strings come in and just try and dial in some more modulation, some more kind of some swells. So it's not all just kind of blasting you at once, and we'll come back when that's done. Welcome back. Once again, time has passed and I've done a little bit more work on the track. Not a huge amount since you last saw. Most of what I've done is just like cleaning up little things here and there, just some minor polish, some mixing of the tracks, which honestly, the more that I did of the mixing, it really showed me how limited my knowledge is with all of that. I did the best I could. I tried it with my headphones, like I mixed it so that it sounded good on my headphones. And I also, every once in a while, I'd like switch it over to my speakers and play it through there and try and see if that sounded okay. They were different. They weren't, I don't have like the most optimized equipment for this. And as I've been saying through this whole process, it's kind of like a good enough approach. That's kind of what I'm going for here. So it's kind of where I'm at. It's good enough for now. For what this is, this was purely just me diving back into this after 8 years of making nothing. So I think for dipping my toes back in the water, I think this was a great exercise. And honestly, it's since making this, it's like unlocked doors in my head and music has been pouring out of it. And I'm just kind of excited to just jump into the next stuff. So anyways, without further ado, let us take a listen to the finished track. And there we have it. I like it. I like it. I think it sounds pretty cool. It's a huge step up from what the original track was. And like I mentioned before, it's really nothing like what Daniel Whitaker is now. He's evolved and changed over the years. And I feel like the music that would go with him would be a little different than this. But that's fine. I still really enjoy what came out of this whole practice. I am very, very grateful that you have watched this whole video. Please let me know if you like this, if you want to see more things like this. I have many plans for many different types of projects. I'm not just making music here. I'm doing all sorts of things. You can always expect me to be creating worlds, building characters, telling stories. That is kind of what I'm going to be doing here. So thank you for tagging along, and I'll see you on the next one.